Bore da, children. I hope you had a good VE Day, our celebrations last Friday. We did here in our street, and we all kept our distance, but we had a good time. I'd like to introduce you to my father-in-law who lives with us in our house, Gareth, and he can remember the war. So I'm going to pass you over to him and see whether you can ask your relatives if they can too and find out more information. Hi Gareth.
Hello, good morning or good hello there. I can remember the war. I was a very young boy. I was only about 5-year-old. I remember war being declared. It was a Sunday morning and my mother telling me we are at war with Germany again. The next thing I can remember is the blackout, what we call the blackout, and everybody had to put blinds on their windows. If you had your lights on, you weren't allowed to shine, and if you had lights shining through your window, the people came around and tapped the window with a stick and told you, draw your blinds a bit tighter please, otherwise the German airplanes will see you. The next thing I can remember clearly is the bombing of Swansea, when Swansea was virtually annihilated.
And you lived, Gareth, on a farm, is that right?
And I lived then on a farm, and we were in what we call the flight path, way up in the skies. We couldn't see them, but we hear the German aeroplanes going over us, loaded with bombs, looking for and heading for Swansea. And eventually there was a mountain. We lived in the mountain farm. The mountain
by Black Mill, wasn't it?
It's near the Blaengarw, Pontycymru, in those valleys, in the bottoms of those valleys, and I can remember seeing the glow of the light from Swansea coming up over the mountain. It was so, the fires and that they'd bombed the docks, they'd bombed the town, they virtually annihilated the whole of Swansea. And then the next thing I can remember is the aeroplanes flying past over our farm, with the British Air Force in pursuit. And one German aeroplane actually dropped what they called an incendiary bomb. That's a bomb that doesn't explode. It does explode, but it didn't go with a bang. But fire comes out of it, and it burned for about 2 days in one of our fields. And then the next thing I can remember clearly is the end of the Second World War, when it was declared that Germany had surrendered, and we all went up onto the hills, and we could look from where we lived down over the valleys, and the bonfires were lit and people were celebrating, singing, rejoicing that the Second World War, to end all wars as they told us then, was over.
Thank you, Gareth, for your recollections. I wonder if you can find members of your family and fortunate enough to speak to them and find out their memories, especially if they lived in this area in South Wales, because that makes it more unique and more linked to our way of life and to our families here. Okay, I know I've got a list of birthdays now to go through for last week, and I know that there's a lot going on this week with assemblies. We've got V-Days, celebrations, some photographs and pictures that Mrs. Thomas is putting together, and I know we are going to also look at some excellent pieces of work that Mr. Richards is gathering. So I'll go over to the assemblies now, to the birthday, and we'll wish the people who had birthdays last week in a moment. Okay, I'd just like to say happy birthday to the children who had their birthdays last week. So we've got Rebecca in Year 3, William in Year 2, Connor in Year 4, Dorothy in Year 1, Bailey in Year 1, Jovan in Year 5, Ethan in Nursery, Georgia in Nursery, Neve in Year 2 and Thomas in Reception. So happy birthday to you. So we'll just have our normal happy birthday. Have a good week, children.